was anything about your body, or about sex, or about menstrual periods, or that was taboo. And my sisters tell about starting their periods and not knowing what was happening. I, of course, being the youngest girl, I saw things and I picked up on what was going on. And I started asking questions, and the funny thing, when I asked my sisters, it was like they vanished. Not one of them ever gave me an answer. But my mother was sick. It was during the wintertime, and she was in the bed, and there was a bed in that sitting room too, Mom and Daddy's bed at that time. But she heard me asking questions. She called me over to the bed, and she told me then the whole thing about our menstrual cramps and babies, and it was very matter of fact. So when mine came along, I prepared for it. I was totally independent of needing any help with it. And we need to stop again, I believe. I'm jumping around a lot. I mentioned to you a little earlier about Mom and Dad and the breakfast. And that lasted throughout the years until late in life. Dad would get up and start the fires, make the fire in the stove for the stove to get hot, go out and get the water. Mom would come in and start the biscuits and whatever. And it was probably about the only time they had to share with one another without the children being involved. I remember many times Jamie and I especially, got up really early trying to fix breakfast for them as a gift to them. And I remember one night we were getting up to fix breakfast and Ralph was just coming home, and of course he stopped that pretty quickly. Mom and Daddy had it's hard to describe their relationship. It was warm and loving, with the exception of the problems in Daddy's drinking. And during that time, it was almost as if they refused to communicate. And they did at times. Because I remember as a child saying, ask your mother this, or tell your daddy that, or, the children were the go-betweens. They were the communicators. I believe that they truly loved one another. Daddy was a rather quiet, serious person. Seldom laughed. I never had felt the relationship with him that I did with Mama. I think the boys, it was exactly opposite. I think they felt a closer relationship with him than with Mama. I remember the work situation that he did kind of, I believe, what my mama's grandmother did. He'd get us all to work, and then he had to go to town to get something, to go to the store for something, and I remember him driving away a lot. There was a little store near us, and I remember too, the only time we ever got candy, except at Christmas, or maybe not a Baby Ruth, but a Mary Jane, or a little hard candy at a little country store, when we sold the first load of tobacco. Daddy always, when he came home, which may be 2 or 3 days later, but when he came home, he would have a big bag of Baby Ruths. And that was our pay for the whole summer's work. We would have to, let me get back to the work now. Mom and Daddy would work, Mom in the house, Daddy in the field, and then a lot of times Mom in the garden and the field. Chris loved to work with Mama in the house. I was tomboyish. I did not like the house at all, so I worked outside as mostly. I had a good relationship with Jay and Chris and Delbert and Jamie and Burl, and a good distant relationship with Verna and Addie, and I was just a little gangly child in Bob's eyes. I was clumsy, and I never felt too close. I never felt to be a part of he and Ralph as I did with Jay and Delbert and the others. It changed in our adult life, but as a child, I felt very much alone in that. Mom and Daddy had one tradition that I look back on and think was very smart of them, that on Saturday afternoon, when they could, they went to town and went to a movie together. The children were not invited to that. That was their time. And I remember the first movie that I went to, I was probably 12 or 13 years old. Now, movies then cost a whole dime. Even as a young adult, you could go to a movie for $0.25. You could buy a hamburger for $0.25, a hot dog for about 15 cents, a Coca-Cola for $0.05. It was a very different kind time and way of living. When I first started dating Chris and Guy, and I was dating a boy by the name of Raph and I, we would have enough money between us maybe to get a cheeseburger and a drink. And if we were fortunate, we got a drink apiece and one cheeseburger, maybe two. But we shared whatever we got, you know. And the social life our life was encompassed about a 10-mile radius, with the exception of the war, and with the exception of going to the family reunions or to go and see my grandmother and her family, my mother's family, which is not too often. But when they came to see us, it was just a grand occasion. Now, you might know that in the springtime, when the corn started ripening and the garden started producing, we had lots and lots of company. To the extent that I remember many, many times, our table would hold 14. And many times that we would eat after 4 tables of people were through. And then the children ate last, not first. And we'd want to go in and say, "Aren't you through yet?" And we kid about that we didn't know that chickens had anything but feet and heads until we were grown. And it sounds like a tough time, and it was in its way, but you know, that's just the way it was. We didn't know any different, so we didn't expect any different. We did not get a telephone until I was in high school. We did not get running water nor electric lights until I was in high school. So we had many years of, let's say, mild deprivation. We would have qualified for most any welfare today, I'm certain. My mother was a very proud woman. She refused it. The welfare did come to see her. She was friendly with one of the head workers who tried many times to get Mother to take it, and Mother wouldn't. She said, "We're doing okay. We're doing okay." And when I look back, we were doing okay. We were doing okay. We learned a lot, and we learned it the hard way. We went through trial and tribulation in many ways, but we probably had as much joy and as much love as most families ever had. I do believe that. And I hope that our legacy to the next generation will be to work through your pain and remember the joys. I remember the pain sometimes, but most of all, I remember the love and the joy that we had. Enough for now.